Almost exactly 1 year ago, I got everybody's favorite girl in the room, Rosie, the, I guess now technically 22-year-old Boa Constrictor. A year later, and that's still just slightly intimidating when she does that. This feels so bizarre. It's really like a nice massage. Yeah. I don't particularly know what to talk about with her because I've talked about her a lot already. But how do I not do a 1 year update? So bear with me if you've already heard the details. I'll do a quick rundown of where she came from. She was in my old high school for about 20 years. I think like a few years less than that. But she's 22 years old now. She'd never left her enclosure, never been touched, never even been tongue fed. Rodents were just thrown into the enclosure. And it appeared like nobody ever really cleaned the enclosure. This is probably not a good example for handling slightly larger snakes, because I'm not in control right now. It's muffling me so I can't scream. So Rosie was her original name. I should have changed it because I like to change names when they come to a new home, but I never bothered and I started calling her Rosie. I don't know, it's an okay name, I guess, not that it matters. Rosie is a perfect example. She's always one that I use when talking about just how much snakes can change personality-wise, because a year ago, she was just a completely different animal. Like, just think about like maybe you've seen those videos of like humans that were like raised by non-human animals, and then they were like try to reintroduce them into society, but they're just like crazy after just like 12 years or something. Rosie is the complete opposite of that. She was like that. She was mortified the first couple weeks, but it was really pretty simple. A lot of people are like, wow, like great job taming her down. I'm sure it took like a lot of work and perseverance, but not really. So what happened is after I got her from the school, she took a couple nips. She went a little crazy, as you could see from that video. And I was so unprepared when I got her that she just lived in like a tub like this big for a couple weeks, because I didn't know I was getting her till the day that I got her, because she was going to be euthanized like 3 days later. And I didn't have time to prep. They were like, can you take it? We're about to euthanize her. And I was like, I guess so. I just mentioned that in the last video too, so a little deja vu there. But basically all my taming method was getting her from the school to the tub, from the tub to the car, from the car to upstairs, opened her up, did like 2 videos with her then, closed it, gave her water, didn't touch her for 2 weeks. Just like nothing. She just sat there in the room. She didn't have heating or anything while she was here, nor did she have heating for the past 20 years. There was this one little lamp, like a tiny just like reptile lamp on top of this massive dirty enclosure. And I was like, can I take any supplies you have? And they're like, sure. And they took the lamp down, and it wasn't even plugged in, and it was broken. Having no heating wasn't something she was new to. It was her life. She was slightly overweight, which she lost somewhat quickly. It took a few months. People were kind of conspiracizing that the extra fat she had kind of maybe helped insulate her during that time, because classrooms are pretty cold. Like, they're always kept freezing. I guess the kids don't fall asleep or whatever. And I'm sure she was not necessarily a fan of that, but it's kind of all she knew. So the 2 weeks passed where I did nothing, and then I had the enclosure built. First time I touched her since the thing was moving her to that enclosure. She didn't really do anything, I just did it quickly. And then once she was in the enclosure for like a week, then I started to kind of see how she's doing. I would open up the door and just sit there, see how she responds. She wouldn't really do anything, she would kind of look around. I got kind of close, I started kind of touching her on the back, and she would start like lightly hissing, nothing too crazy. Still very intimidating from an animal I'd never worked with. This was my first time working with a snake over the size of a ball python, so, and I never really, we haven't had very defensive ball pythons. Like, some of the babies will be nippy, but nothing that's 20 pounds. Which, believe it or not, she is only 17 pounds last I weighed her. She feels way heavier, she looks way heavier, but she's lean and it's all muscle. So not much fat anymore, not too many calories going into her. So I'm at week 3, I'm kind of just messing with her. I think I have a couple Instagram story things where I was just kind of casually like taking pictures, again, like just barely touching her for like a few minutes a day. I would try and do it until she stops hissing and calms down, because a lot of people, they'll like put their snake back the moment it strikes or hisses. But you're just reaffirming to the snake that all it has to do to get what it wants is to hiss or puff or whatever. So the goal is to keep doing it until they calm down. Yes, obviously this will cause stress, which people will be like, oh, I don't want to stress the animal out, I want to put it back. But you have to get over that barrier if you want to kind of tame them down. And then probably the most nerve-wracking part was when I decided to go ahead and pick her up. Now, when she's been moving around a lot, she starts breathing kind of heavy. She's old. I mean, she's not even that old, really. She still has hopefully a good number of years left in her, but I think she'll get like a little tired and you can just kind of hear her like taking deep breaths. And a few times I would mix that up with her actually hissing at you, which is more of a puff, but now it's pretty easy to tell the difference. But I picked her up and she made a couple noises. It was a new experience for sure. She just felt so strong. She had such a strong grip, like she does right now on my arm, which is falling asleep. And it was a completely new experience for both of us. She had not been handled since she was a wee little baby. But obviously, to have been in the condition she was in, it's very impressive just how little work it took on my part and how she really did most of the work. And she didn't seem to have any hard feelings against humans in particular. Now the question is, I'm very curious. I haven't taken her out of the house or like I've taken her outside like to enjoy time in the yard and stuff, but I haven't taken her anywhere like in a car. So I'm I won't do it, but I'm curious like if I took her back to the school, would she react? Do snakes have any sort of memory to that extent? Like would she recognize the scent of the school? Would she freak out, have PTSD or something? Some like Vietnam flashbacks of being in the back of the science room? Probably not, but I'm still curious, I guess. But boas, or specifically boa constrictor, imperators or whatever, are known to just be so docile in general, and I was very impressed just how docile she became after just about altogether about a month. She was like in this stage like a month after 22 years of no experiences like this. So she was very patient with me, I was patient with her, and it kind of worked out well. And now she can be chill around just around anyone. Like it's not just me, it's other people in the house, other people that come here. She's chill with everyone, which is good to see. It's not just like an individualized thing, even though I may be selfish and wish she only liked me, but overall it's obviously good for her sake to not be scared of like certain people or whatever. Some of the things I've really noticed compared to the other snakes is one, just how like careful and tedious and calm she is. Like I just got this shot like a few minutes ago of her coming off of a table. If that was a ball python coming off the table, it would probably just kind of splat its tail down. Like it might go kind of slowly when it's coming off the table, but Rosie like took her sweet time. Her tail was just like, ooh, and then very carefully touched the surface. She's just a very slow mover. I'm just wondering what it would be like if she was like as fast as a colubrid or something, which I have like one shot of when I first pulled her out of the enclosure at the school of her like really going fast. So I guess she can be pretty quick, but she has not had a reason to do that since getting her originally. And after the first 2 days, she never struck. Her first strike was like 10 minutes after we started working with her, and her last strike was like 24 hours after we got her. And since then, she has only eaten food, no defensive bites, no accidental food bites, which that would suck. So other than sand boas, Rosie was actually the first boa that I had ever cared for, or even like worked with or really handled. So now we've gotten I think we got 3 other boas. We got like 2 other BCIs and 1 BCC over the past year, which we sold on emeraldscales.com. If you're looking for an animal, it's as usual is empty because we keep selling out, but we're trying to get stock up, as I say every week. But those were like young sizes. We haven't taken in any huge ones yet through Emerald Scales. So my first experience with a non-sand boa was a full-size boa. And I think that was pretty useful. It really got me prepared for the smaller ones that we got. And now they're definitely one of my favorite species. And I don't know, I might like them more than ball pythons, who knows? They're just like, they're stronger, they're calmer, they look slightly cooler. Although one of the boas we got was some morph that I forgot the name of. They all looked pretty normal, so ball pythons obviously have more variation, but morphs are kind of not a top of my priority list sort of thing when looking for animals. But I have said it before, so I'll mention it again. Rosie just feels like the perfect size to work with as an individual. Any bigger and I'd probably need a second person with me. Personally, like I'm sure there's people that handle like 30-foot snakes by themselves, but that's not my cup of tea right now, or probably ever, at least until I exercise a little bit more. But she feels like made to be handled. She's taller than me. She's 7.5 feet. Just barely taller than me, you know. But when she coils around, she just feels so small. The footprint she takes up in her enclosure is so ridiculously tiny. She's in a 2x2 by 6 foot enclosure, which a lot of people say is still too small. Others are like, wow, that's huge. You only need a 2x2 by 3. And she is very inactive when she's in the enclosure. So more about her enclosure. When I put the heating in, she had heating like a month after I got her, since the enclosure took a little while. And I was considering like, should I like work her up to the temperature? Like, has she adapted to the coldness? Is it gonna feel like she's boiling if I just put the lamp at full temperature at like a 90 to 95 degree hotspot? But I just went for it to see how she reacted, and I watched her, and immediately within 10 minutes she was out of her hide and basking for the first time presumably ever. And since then she's basked. She doesn't bask every day. It's the most rant. She'll bask like 4 days out of the week. I don't know why. She just has certain basking days, but she has basked multiple times every week for the past year without fail. She just coils up on top of her hide and just sits there all night. And the moment the light goes off, she just goes back inside, and she seems pretty content. So content, in fact, that I don't take her out enough. I'm trying to take her out more. But if I just open the doors to the enclosure and like close the bedroom door so we don't lose any cats, she'll come out, she'll like do a couple laps around the room, and she just goes back inside the enclosure. It's the only snake I've ever seen that decides to go back in an enclosure on its own. But she got her laps in, her little workout, and she just went straight back into her hide. It was great. So Rosie's shed maybe 3 or 4 times while I've had her, which feels like kind of a lot for a boa that's still growing, because snakes never really stop growing, but that's slowed her growth so much. And now you can hear her starting to breathe a little harder because we're both getting tired, I guess. So her feeding schedule right now is about once every 4 to 6 weeks. I guess some boas go up to like every 8 weeks, but I feed her slightly smaller meals because I have a bunch of, I think it's jumbo rats. Like they go up to, I believe, colossal rats, but she just has the occasional jumbo, and it's working pretty well. Boas are supposed to be more of like a rectangular shape, I guess. Like if a ball python's like that, a boa's more like that, I don't know. And that's just their natural body shape, and I feel like she's achieved that pretty well right now. Other than size, she's basically just a ball python. Like care-wise, I mean, she's easier actually. You feed her less often. I just mimic temperature and humidity of ball pythons. Larger enclosure, and that's about it. I honestly, this will probably be an unpopular opinion, but I feel like they are kind of an amazing beginner snake. Like as a beginner, I would not get one this size. But if you're fully aware, and if you've seen one this size in person, and you got one as like a juvenile, I could see it going quite well, honestly, overall. Maybe people will disagree. I mean, I know people will disagree with that, but going back, like I could see my young self working with a young boa and then kind of growing up with it to this size and to this point. And because I've had fewer issues with her than possibly any other snake species. Maybe corn snakes have been a little easier, with the only difference being size and humidity, I guess. But ball pythons have been more difficult. Carpet pythons have been slightly more difficult. Sand boas even. So it's just hard to compete with how easy they are. And they're not like crazy popular, I guess. They're probably one of the most popular mid-sized snakes, whatever you want to call it, large-sized snake. But I am a little surprised that more people don't have more, just because they do seem like such perfect pets, and I would happily have some more of these. So I'm on the lookout if any ever pop up. And like many boas, she's not head shy. What is she? Prove you're not head shy. Yeah, look at that. I could probably just like grab her face. She really doesn't care. A ball python, the average ball python we have is gonna like just back up when you do that to them, so that's cool. You might be able to tell from my voice I'm kind of tired because I've been trying to shoot lots of content of her, and it's, oh yeah, let's do some squats. What is this video? Like I said, there's nothing really specific to talk about. I just wanted to give you a 1 year update because it's officially been that long. So again, their lifespans can go much farther. Hopefully she's not deteriorated because of her past husbandry from the school, but who knows? I have high hopes. So, but that is Rosie. I've posted her quite a bit on Instagram if you want to check that out. She's I mean, if I kind of pick favorite reptiles, and she's probably my favorite snake in the room. I wonder how long she could go off feed. If Sunny, who normally eats every 2 weeks, could go off feed for a year, does that mean she, who eats every 6 weeks, could go off for 3 years? Experiment, social experiment, reptile experiment. We'll see. Follow on Instagram to keep up with the experiment. But thanks for checking this out. I think probably the next thing will be to beautify her enclosure more. Like I've added little things over the year, but overall she could still use more in there. So that would be cool. Thanks to all the members. Wow, look at those names. Look at those names go. So crazy. Thanks for your support. You can become a member if you like. we got some pretty cool perks on there. $5 a month. Pretty good deal if you ask me. I'm so tired. So, yeah, I'm really tired now. So, that's it. I'm out of stuff to say. Goodbye.